Got a question on TikTok asking about basically what, in a sense, ends up being what CPI index do I use to calculate the change in CPI for the Tenants Protection Act. In this case, this user is from Santa Cruz County. They can't find the CPIU index for that county, and she wants to know what she's doing wrong to figure that out. So let me see if I can try to help out here. Hi, my name is Rob Wells. I'm the Landlord Warrior on TikTok and YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to our videos here. Now, for the CPI index in California, the federal government, the Tenants Protection Act, let me start with this. The Tenants Protection Act at Civil Code Section 1947.12 defines what the consumer price index is. And it's the consumer price index for all consumer items that's published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay? That's where we start, okay? And there are 4 CPIU indexes in the entire state. There's a CPIU index for Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim, that covers LA County and Orange County. There's a CPIU index for Riverside, San Bernardino, that covers counties of Riverside and San Bernardino County. CPIU for index for San Diego, Carlsbad, the metropolitan area there, that covers San Diego. And for us in the San Francisco Bay Area, the CPIU index for the San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward metro area, which covers Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, San Francisco, and San Mateo County, okay? So if you're in one of those counties, you go to those statistics. I'm gonna be real with you. I use the state's website because the state just pulls the information from the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay? Because if you've gone to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics website for those metro areas, it looks like it's not as user-friendly. Let me put it to you that way. It's just they spit out raw data, okay? The state kind of has tools. They've made it over the number of years a little bit more user-friendly, okay? That being said, Civil Code Sections 1947.12, Subdivision G, defines the CPIU index, okay? Let's start there, okay? So the next thing is if your county is not in one of those 4 metroplexes, Civil Code Section 1947.12 G 1B defines, if your county is not in that area or your property is not in one of those metroplexes, you use the all urban consumer for all items published by the California Department of Industrial Relations. That's what we call, I call it the All California number. And what it is it's the state of California averaging the 4 CPIU indexes into one index, okay? So that's where Santa Cruz County would be covered, okay? For us in Northern California, like Solano, Napa, Sacramento, Lake County is where I practice in, that's what we use, okay? We use the Department of Industrial Relations All California number, okay? So that's the start, okay? So the next step would be is figuring out when your rental increase is going to affect, because there's 2, you got to figure out what years of the CPIU, change in CPIU index you have to use, okay? So basically, the law under Civil Code Section 1947.12, Subdivision G3 then determines, okay, at what, depending on when your rental increase goes into effect, what numbers, CPIU numbers you have to use. So you have to pick the right index, right? And then you have to make sure you're in the right year. So for the law defines it, basically in the Tenants Protection Act, is rental increases occurring before August 1 in the year that they're going in and after August 1, okay? Because, so the CPIU indexes get updated in March and April, generally by the federal government, okay? And then California, the Department of Industrial Relations, probably takes about 2 months to, process the All California number. That number is usually coming out in June, Okay, so you might see videos on that from us, like, hey, the number for 25, 26, which will happen next year between March and April. And the for San Francisco Bay Area, the number comes out in April each year around that time. So expect numbers next year. We'll talk about that then when they come out. So for back to our conversation. So for rental increases going into effect August 1, like this year, like 2025 and after, we have to use the CPIU numbers for the area your property is in for this year, 2025 to 2024. Okay. And then when if your rental increases happening in taking into effect August 1 of any calendar year, what you have to use is the number from the year before and the number preceding that. So for example, right, let's say CPIU numbers were coming out, right? They just came out like April. We talk about a rental increase next year, okay? Right, that comes out in April 1, 2026, right? So you're going to use the numbers from 2025 to 2024, okay? So we have that number out for all California. It's 2.7%, okay? So under the Tenants Protection Act, you get the base rate of 5% plus the change in CPI, 2.7. You can't raise the rent more than 7.7 in an all California area. That would be where for this user, that would be the number for this year. Okay. But let's say it's September 1, 2026 next year. Okay. That all California number is going to be updated. Okay. In about like June next year. Okay. So if your rental increase was going into effect then, you're going to use the current year number, the 2026 number to 2025. Okay. So hopefully that made a little bit sense there. And that's how you use that number. And to this commenter's question, there is no 2025, 2026 number yet because it has to be developed by the Department of Industrial Relations. That's going to come out in June next year, basically when California should have all the CPIU numbers from the federal government. So hope that helps out. Landlords, if you're having a situation where you have a question about raising the rent and if it's a lawful rental increase, that type of deal, if your Tenants Protection Act applies or your local municipalities limits apply, feel free to reach out. We might be able to help out. Put your comments, questions down below. Until next time, folks, I'll talk to you then. Thanks.